The year is 1453. For over 1,000 years, the city of Constantinople has stood as the ultimate symbol of Roman legacy, Christian power, and an unbreakable fortress. Its walls, the legendary Theodosian fortifications, have survived dozens of sieges and outlasted the rise and fall of countless empires. But the world is shifting. To the west, the Middle Ages are beginning to fray at the edges. To the east, a new power is rising, driven by a young, ambitious sultan who believes he is destined to achieve the impossible. This is not just a story of a city falling, it is the story of the birth of the modern world. This is the Siege of Constantinople, the battle that ended an empire, redrew the maps of the world, and forced humanity to look across the Atlantic toward a new world. The last bastion of Rome. By the mid-15th century, the Byzantine Empire, the eastern half of the Roman Empire, was a ghost of its former self. Once stretching from Italy to Egypt, it had been reduced to little more than the city of Constantinople itself and a few scattered territories in Greece. Yet, the city remained the ultimate prize. It sat at the literal crossroads of the world, controlling the Bosphorus Strait, the gateway between Europe and Asia, and the Black Sea in the Mediterranean. For the Islamic world, the conquest of Constantinople was a dream deferred for 8 centuries. For the Ottoman Turks, it was the final obstacle to total dominance in the Balkans and Anatolia. In 1451, a 19-year-old named Mehmet II ascended to the Ottoman throne. Many in Europe dismissed him as young and inexperienced. They were wrong. Mehmet was obsessed. He spent his nights studying the city's defenses, poring over maps, and learning from the failures of those who came before him. He knew that to take the city, he had to do 2 things: isolate it from the sea and shatter the unbreakable walls. The arms race, fire and stone. The Theodosian walls were a triple-layered defense system that had protected the city for 800 years. To breach them, Mehmet turned to a radical new technology: gunpowder. He commissioned a Hungarian engineer named Urban to build the largest cannon the world had ever seen. Known as the Basilic, this bronze monster was over 27 feet long and could fire a 1,500-pound stone ball over a mile. It took 60 oxen and 200 men to transport it. This was the dawn of heavy artillery warfare. The era of the knight and the castle was being ended by the smell of sulfur and the roar of the cannon. Inside the city, Emperor Constantine XI, Palaiologos, was painfully aware of the odds. He sent desperate pleas to the Christian West for help, but Europe was fractured. England and France were exhausted by the 100 Years' War. The Holy Roman Empire was embroiled in internal politics. Only a few hundred Genoese and Venetian mercenaries, led by the siege expert Giovanni Giustiniani, arrived to bolster the 7,000 defenders facing an Ottoman army of nearly 80,000. The siege began, April 6, 1453. The Ottoman army settled into position. The sight from the walls was terrifying, a sea of white tents stretching to the horizon, and the massive cannons being moved into place. For weeks, the basilic and its smaller counterparts pounded the walls. The sound was unlike anything the inhabitants had ever heard, a literal thunder that shook the earth. Every day, the cannons created breaches. Every night, the citizens of the city, including monks and women, worked frantically to repair them with barrels of earth and rubble. To the surprise of the Ottomans, the soft earth actually absorbed the impact of the cannonballs better than the rigid stone. On the water, the Byzantines felt safer. They had stretched a massive iron chain across the Golden Horn, an inlet of the Bosphorus, preventing the Ottoman navy from entering and attacking the city's weaker seawalls. The impossible feat. By late April, Mehmet's frustration grew. His navy had been humiliated by a few heavily armed Christian galleys that fought their way through the blockade to deliver supplies. He needed to bypass the chain at the Golden Horn. What followed is one of the most audacious engineering feats in military history. Mehmet ordered his men to build a wooden slipway of greased logs over the rugged hills of Galata. In a single night, the Ottomans hauled 70 ships out of the water, over the land, and dropped them back into the Golden Horn behind the Byzantine chain. When the sun rose, the defenders looked out in horror to see the Ottoman fleet anchored in their safe harbor. The city was now surrounded on all sides. the psychological blow was devastating. The final stand, May 29, 1453. By late May, both sides were at their breaking point. Mehmed faced a potential mutiny from advisors who feared a European relief army might finally arrive. He decided on one final all-out assault. He gave his troops 3 days of rest and promised them 3 days of plunder. Inside the city, the mood was somber. A final Christian service was held in the Hagia Sophia, the great church where Orthodox and Catholic Christians, long divided by schism, prayed together for the last time. The assault began in the pre-dawn darkness of May 29. Mehmed sent his waves of troops in succession, first the irregulars, then the Anatolian levies, and finally his elite shock troops, the Janissaries. The defense held for hours, but then a series of events turned the tide. A small postern gate called the Cercoporta was accidentally left unlatched. A few Ottoman soldiers slipped through. At the same time, the Genoese commander Giustiniani was mortally wounded and carried from the walls. Seeing their leader fall, the defenders panicked. The Janissaries surged through the breach. Emperor Constantine XI, seeing the city was lost, reportedly cast aside his imperial regalia and charged into the fray as a common soldier. He was never seen again. By mid-morning, the Roman Empire, which had begun with Romulus and Remus, had finally come to an end. The immediate aftermath. When Mehmed entered the city, he rode straight to the Hagia Sophia. He was no longer just a sultan, he was Kaiser i Rum, the Caesar of Rome. He immediately ordered the cathedral to be converted into a mosque, a symbol of the new order. However, contrary to some dark legends of the era, Mehmed also sought to rebuild. He invited Greeks and Jews back to the city, granting them a level of religious autonomy under the millet system. Constantinople was renamed Istanbul, though the name wouldn't become official until the 20th century, and became the glittering capital of a burgeoning Islamic empire. The map is redrawn in 1453, not just with ink, but with fire and blood.